Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Star back into the video today, and today the Houston Texans have named CJ Stroud the starting quarterback for Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, just after the Houston Texans barely beat the New Orleans Saints in the third and final preseason game against the New Orleans Saints, 17-13, where CJ Stroud played 2 drives through 2 for 4 with 16 passing yards in his first ever touchdown pass on a 3-yard touchdown play to Nico Collins. Stroud also threw a 13-yard pass to Dalton Schultz as well. Was not throwing that much. I mean, he only threw 4 passes. They were, when Stroud was out there, they were heavily, using the running game with Dameon Pierce. When Stroud was out there, they ran the ball 5 times with Dameon Pierce, and 30 of the yards came from the run game with Dameon Pierce. And Stroud's second drive, they started at the 45-yard line in Saints territory. So it was only, the scoring drive by CJ Stroud was only a 45-yard scoring drive. So there wasn't a lot of room for CJ Stroud to, have a lot of passing yards when, the scoring drive they had was only a 45-yard drive. And not only that, but they were using the run game a lot with Dameon Pierce having 30 rushing yards in the 2 drives. And Stroud only throwing 4 times as well. But Stroud looked really solid in this game when he was, and his first pass he threw, the 2 throws that he threw were not bad throws. The first connection he threw to Nico Collins was dropped by Collins. Great defensive play by whoever was guarding Collins. Was a dime by CJ Stroud. Would have been over a 25-yard connection by CJ Stroud to Nico Collins, but was just a great defensive play by the New Orleans Saints. And then the second play was on a 3rd and 7 where Stroud threw his second incompletion. He threw it to Robert Woods at the end of the sidelines, and Robert Woods was not able to come up with the catch, but Robert Woods did think that there was a pass interference on the play, which honestly, to me, I looked at the replay, it looked like there was a pass interference. So Stroud's 2 incompletions were not bad throws. They were really good throws. So I thought CJ Stroud looked really good today, and now DeMeco Ryans has officially announced CJ Stroud is the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. I think we all knew this was coming. My question, I'm grateful it's happening now, but why did it take so long for this to happen? That's my only question, but I'm glad CJ Stroud will be starting Week 1. I never really thought Davis Mills would be the starter Week 1, but it was starting to scare me a little bit that it was taking this long for CJ Stroud to be announced the Week 1 quarterback when it was so long ago that Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young, the other rookie quarterbacks, were announced the starting quarterback for their rookie teams. But the Texans decided to handle this one different. Wait till the end of the preseason. Wait till the end of the preseason, which I actually like. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted the Texans to announce him. But let him go through the whole preseason, going through a battle. That's what I like. I mean, that's what I feel like maybe could have been going through DeMeco Ryans' thought process when going through this quarterback competition. Let's make CJ think he's going through a QB competition, for the first 3 preseason games, so he maybe plays better. We can see more from him, that he maybe has a chip on his shoulder to win this starting job. That's maybe something that could have been through DeMeco Ryans' thought process. Not saying that was definitely what was going on with DeMeco's thought process with this quarterback competition and this everything that went on with Davis Mills and Stroud throughout training camp and preseason. But what I'm saying, that very well could have been what happened with DeMeco's thought process throughout this, this whole training camp and preseason and everything with this QB competition between Mills and Stroud. So I'm very excited to see Stroud Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be a fun matchup. Lamar Jackson versus CJ Stroud Week 1. I think those are 2 really solid quarterbacks. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's the better QB, but honestly, I think Stroud has a lot of potential, and Stroud can be a very good quarterback, just like Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to say Stroud could be better than Lamar Jackson, which I think is, definitely would be something that we would get a lot of hate for saying, but I think Stroud has a lot of upside. I think Stroud definitely could be as good as Lamar Jackson. I think their games are very different. Stroud reminds me a lot like Joe Burrow. I've heard a lot of comparisons to the 2. from CJ Stroud and Joe Burrow, who was also a former Ohio State quarterback, was well known for his LSU days with the national championship. But Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud both went to Ohio State, and I do hear a lot of comparisons between those two. And I think the first guy that was to mention that was ESPN analyst and former Lions, and actually, not only that, also former Texans quarterback Dan Orlovsky, who's on ESPN, is a college football announcer. ESPN, he's on the NFL Live show. So he was one of those first guys to compare CJ Stroud to Joe Burrow, and, in the way they move in the pocket and just, their form, and just a lot of things, a lot of similar things to their games. And I see it, I'm not going to say CJ is going to be as good as Joe Burrow. I don't think he will. I think Joe Burrow is one in a kind, but I think CJ does show a lot of potential like Joe Burrow does. And I think CJ Stroud is very underrated when it comes to rookie quarterbacks. I think he's the most hated rookie quarterback in the NFL. I mean, out of the first-round picks, I feel like people think Anthony Richardson's going to be better than Stroud. I think that's crazy. I do understand people thinking Bryce Young will be better than Stroud. I personally, myself, as a Texans fan, think Bryce Young will probably be better than CJ Stroud. But I think both quarterbacks will be good. I'm not saying that Stroud's gonna be bad and Young's gonna be and Bryce Young and Stroud's gonna be. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that Stroud's gonna be bad and that Young's gonna be good. I'm saying I think both quarterbacks are gonna be very good. But honestly, as of right now, I think Young might have the better career. But we'll see. But I mean, I think both quarterbacks show a lot of good things. Both rookie quarterbacks show a lot of good things, and I'm really excited to see CJ Stroud during this rookie year. I'm glad he's starting week 1. I think he deserved it. I think he worked his ass off in training camp and in the preseason. And I like Davis Mills not as much as I like not as much as I like CJ Stroud. But here's how I feel: Stroud deserved this job over Davis Mills, and honestly, I would like to maybe Davis Mills showed some decent things in the preseason and in training camp. So honestly, if the Texans could, I know the Texans might want to keep Davis Mills as a backup quarterback, but if the Texans can maybe get a decent, mid draft pick, like a 5th or 6th round pick for Davis Mills, I think it would be decent to trade Davis Mills, honestly. But use my thoughts. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. CJ Stroud is officially the quarterback 1 for the Houston Texans for week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. And let me know your thoughts, and peace out. Go Texans.